Everyone wants to know, well, where's the semi? Tesla, where's my semi, dude? Why isn't it here yet? We've been waiting for so long. So we're going to have a quick conversation and figure out, dude, where's my semi with Herbert. But in the meantime, just remember that I am Brian. Welcome to my Tesla weekend. How are you, Herbert?
I'm doing great, Brian. I appreciate you. Dude, where's my semi?
Dude. Sweet. So the question on everyone's mind for about 3 years now is, where's my semi?
Yeah.
You know, we saw the prototype delivering cars early on. During the delivery crunch years, when the Model 3 was ramping, we would actually see the semi out in use at the end of a quarter. I don't even know if that's legal. It seems like it's a commercial application rather than testing, but whatever. I'm sure they double dotted their U's and O's. It's a German thing. So anyway, the question is, why is it taking so long? We saw that big event in Nevada with the governor and the congressman or senator, whoever it was, and they were saying, hey, we're going to break ground. And then nothing. What do you think's going on?
Yeah, it is very odd, right? Because the latest reports, just very, very recently, Tesla semis, Pepsi is reporting that these cars that they have, these semis that they're doing, is performing incredibly well. Over 500-mile runs with 84,000 pounds of payload, very, very fully loaded. They seem to be doing very well. So why is it that everything's looking really good in terms of the Pepsi kind of report and reviews? Everything's apparently better about the semi, and they only have handfuls in place. They've got Megapack chargers, right? Mega chargers all over the place already. So why has this not gone faster? My only kind of guess would be that Tesla themselves decided that this is not a priority for them. They downgraded its priority, and so now they're focusing on the Nevada battery factories, the Megapack factory in China. They needed to save all their batteries for the Cybertruck launch, those kind of things. What's your thinking?
Well, worth noting, we were never told initially which battery would go into the semi. There was a lot of speculation it would be the 4680. It's clear that's not the case. When they began the pilot line production, it was 2170s. And they come from next door. It's very convenient. And Elon had said repeatedly, we are not cell constrained. We have enough cells. Now maybe, and he said for the foreseeable future, which to me meant batteries are not the issue. The 2170s perform well enough. Maybe it's an issue of cost, but you can't bring that cost down radically unless you've got an assembly line and they're just not committed to building it, apparently, because they haven't built it. They haven't broken ground. Panasonic is going to be expanding in Nevada, right there on site, and Tesla will be expanding right with them. But when? When are you doing that part? Because you can't.
You suspect that either the design of the semi, they discovered some issues, and so they went back to try to, fix or even redesign the semi itself, which I really don't think so. Again, everything's looking like the reports are that this is a very well built vehicle, or maybe it's some sort of slowdown with the factory line and their ability to mass produce these. I mean, the last potential option would be that they're not having sales, which does not seem to be there's no way that that's the case.
So the initial cost was supposed to be something insane like 120 to 150,000. We now know that's bonkers. That will never happen. In part because it doesn't need to. Other companies are selling their vastly inferior electric trucks, the Peterbilt, the Cascadia, for 300, 400,000. The Mack truck, which is used often for the garbage trucks, comes out without anything attached to the back. It's already $500,000. And these have like 150 miles of range. Their design, as it stands today, is brilliant. It is best in class, but it just ain't going anywhere. So all I can think is they're looking at it financially and saying, if we come out big, if we build this line, if we roll them off constantly, the most we're going to sell is 100,000. That's not that many compared to what we sell already. And even with 100,000 in margin, that only makes it, comparable to selling, 500,000 of another car. I think they're looking at it financially and saying, we're not going to make enough money. It'd be capital better deployed to work on the compact factory, to work on, like you said, getting the Cybertruck dialed in, work on something else that's going to have a broader appeal. Don't you think? Because for that matter, where's the Roadster? Dude, where's my Roadster?
Exactly.
That's going to have a big markup, but they're not going to make that many. Not compared to any of the other products they have, except the S and X, which are not doing as well as I would hope.
Yeah, I like that thinking, right? So if you look at it, what's happening to Tesla today, there are so many things that have gone right. Massive markets, right? There's now the robot that looks like it's progressing quite significantly and has a real chance for success. You got FSD that looks like it's really going to come to fruition very soon. The Model 3 Highland was a success, and they're going to revise the Model Y, which is, has been for so long now the number one best-selling vehicle around the world. So then they de-emphasize their focus on Roadster or the Model S and the X, and then they've been really focused on the Cybertruck, which looks like it's also going to be a massive sales success. So the Semi becomes kind of a secondary thing, right? It becomes something that goes after even the energy business as well. In the meantime, I think here that Brian Wang, he is kind of a futurist. He wrote this really good kind of analysis of what's happening with Pepsi and their experiment with the trucks. And he published it on his website, Next Big Future, and he showed that Pepsi has 21 Tesla semi trucks. They've been testing it for 10 months, and again, everything they've reported has been very, very positive. And the reason I bring this up is that Elon actually retweeted and liked his tweet when he talked about this article. So, I think that's probably the only solution, because there's no way that they ran into troubles with this truck. If anything, it's been a huge success. But
there are only so many ways you can redesign a truck. You're still going to have frame rails. You're not going to get rid of those. You're still going to have the battery in between the rails. You're still, there's only so many ways you can do it. And the factory's going to take at least a year to build. Although it could be a little more simplified. If you look at the assembly line for Kenworth, there's videos you can find on YouTube. It is nowhere near as sophisticated as it is for a car plant. And it doesn't need to be, because they don't you can't move the same kind of volumes of semis as you can of cars. It doesn't need to be as sophisticated. But you're right when you said maybe they're focusing on building Megapack factories instead. Those are huge. And they're easier to build. If you look at the amount of time from the groundbreaking of the Lathrop plant to first production, it was 6 months or something? But if you look inside, it was mostly a building that was already built. They just added on some to the end, because it doesn't need to be as purpose-built as a car factory, and that's what we're seeing. And the Megapacks can go out the door all day with 22% margins, and yeah, so I don't know. I think you would rather... Now, again, these are using two different cells, so it's not Megapack versus the Semi. But maybe they just need to hang on to the cells to put in Model Ys and 3s in the U.S. I don't know. It just doesn't seem to quite add up.
Well, we know that I suspect that they're going to announce Megapack factories announcements quite a bit, because that's one of the reasons why Elon is going around the world meeting with world leaders, right?
Right.
So the other potential, and I think this is very, very low, but if I'm trying to come up with ideas of why they might have slowed it down. So my thought would be this, right? So Tesla Semis is really, really well, it's very obvious it's going to be a very good candidate for autonomous driving, because it's on a highway. They can do the what they call that daisy chain kind of thing, where they're just
platooning,
drifting off of platooning each other. You can have maybe one driver kind of supervising the very first truck. Maybe you don't even have any, right? It's the one that's most likely to be passed by regulatory approval, the highway autonomous driving. Agreed? So then, but I don't see why that would slow them down. They might be
I
thinking,
do.
well, we're so
I do.
close with version 12 coming, and then therefore, but they're not going to change kind of the camera or the hardware needed for these. They already got that settled down. But that's just one potential concept of maybe they're needing to wait for version 12 to be improved, and then they're going to mass produce them.
So I think you may have just hit it. If autonomy is that close, if autonomy is closer than 2 years out, why are we going to spend $1 billion building a semi factory for a semi whose design will become an antique during that time? So that
Fantastic.
I think you
Okay.
cracked it right there, because
No.
I don't know if you saw the movie Logan, the final Wolverine movie. There's a whole
Yeah, I
scene
did.
with autonomous semis, and the semis look nothing like they do. It was just a little thing that sat kind of underneath the trailer, because that's all you needed. You don't need this big cabin, and the
Interesting.
the shipping container's already got a flat front. That's
Oh, okay.
not much worse. So
You don't need the
maybe
cabin.
that's it. You don't need
Interesting.
the cabin.
Because, in the book, the Walter Isaacson biography of Elon, there's a whole chapter to talking about, the debate that Elon had with his team about shouldn't we create a robotaxi first designed vehicle that's not bother creating this compact car. They convinced them saying, hey, we can build it on the same platform, and we do need to may easily remove the steering wheel, the pedals, and all that. If you think about the semi, you don't need that massive, like you said,
Right.
that space is really a cabin for the driver to sleep, to be able to have a commanding view. You don't need that. Interesting.
You don't need it.
And so maybe they're, I don't know. I don't think so. This is really out there.
I don't know.
Brian.
It's out there. It's out there. But when it comes to these crazy radical ideas, this one would be easier for Elon to get past the board of directors, because all he has to say is, let's slow down on something rather
And
than
they
let's
probably don't
speed
care
up on
because
something.
it's such a small,
It's a small
part of it.
product line. It's and he's not saying let's spend extra money. He's saying let's spend less money. I think that would be an easier one than, say, not including a steering wheel, which would have been a problematic idea had it been
No,
implemented on the 3.
you're right. Okay, if you think about it, the compact car, the compact robotaxi, still needed to be designed to have passengers inside of it. But if you were going to do a robotaxi semi, you don't need to have any passengers, like you said. Okay, well, this would be fun, Brian, and we can look back to see if we even got close to this prediction in the future. If this is
I love
this
it.
would be probably the first one of us to talk about something like this idea.
I love it. Well, I feel we've had a breakthrough, but I'm sorry, we're out of time. I shall see you again next week for our regularly scheduled session where we can hash out our problems. So everybody in the comments, what did we miss? What did we misunderstand? What did we get so wrong that you just have to correct us? Because how else would we know? I get some of the best comments in my community, I swear. I read through them and people come up with ideas that I never would have thought of, that I can then steal for my own. So that's a great idea. So everybody else, stay tuned. Like, subscribe, do all that stuff. Go check out Herbert's channel. He does great work, obviously, because he's a very sharp guy. That's how I get brighter. So for everybody else, stay tuned, stay juicy, and I can't wait to hear from you clever robots on the next one.